Welcome to the podcast Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook, where we will discuss the latest and most relevant business strategies to help you do one thing extremely well: sell more homes. We'll discuss everything from business planning to lead generation and conversion to past client customer service and everything in between. Join us for authentic conversations and nuts and bolts takeaways you can implement into your business today. And now, Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook. And Kelly is here with us today and recently had a guest or somebody come and visited in Phoenix who is from Michigan, I believe.
Yeah.
And got some really good knowledge to share with you from that conversation and learned some cool stuff. Today, if you have not listened to our past couple of episodes, I highly recommend you go and do that, because I feel like the past 3 episodes have kind of all been very similar and piggybacking off of each other when we're talking about pricing, which is a huge part of negotiations, of getting to the finish line as a realtor and getting a home sold, right? That's the goal, getting to the closing table. And I think these past 2 episodes and then this one today are going to be altogether a really great listen for you to get some knowledge. So Kelly, today we're going to talk about kind of the opposite end of talking to a seller about the price and what they should set it at, how they should, manage expectations as it sits. And now we're going to talk a little bit about when you actually get an offer and might not be what your client was hoping for. So let's get into it. I'm excited to talk about this.
Yeah, no, this is good. Listen, this is a topic that no one hardly talks about in real estate, and yet it is such a important aspect of getting deals across the finish line, like you said, especially in this marketplace where, unfortunately, for better or worse, it's balanced at best in most marketplaces across America. A lot of markets, it's a buyer's market, and so what is happening to your offers as a listing agent in your marketplace the majority of the time? Offers are coming in low or high? Low. That is much more common right now. And
that'd be nice if they're coming in high, right? That's the
well, AKA 2021, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yep. And now we saw what we got ourselves into in terms of the mess after doing that. So I prefer not to do that again. Ideally, even though it was a phenomenal, it's my best year.
It swung too high. Yep.
I mean, I'll take listen. I'd go there in a second, but the pain and aftermath is a little, that I don't think a lot of people want to go through again. So right now, assuming the market's going to stay kind of more the same of what it's been doing, which it probably will, guys. We see the Fed dropping rates. We know that overall mortgage rates are getting a little better, but it's small potatoes in the grand scheme of things. And so there's probably not going to be a huge improvement on those. I mean, if we get down to 6, that'd be amazing. But that probably is going to be about what the most we're going to see over at least the next several months. So get prepared. And we've been talking about this for the same type of market. So if you're a listing agent, keep taking market share, keep going after those listings. But Kelly, I don't want listings. I want to work with buyers, because right now, man, if you get a buyer, because it's a buyer's market, that's gold. And so I'm just going to switch my business up, and I'm going to do more buyers. Stop it. If I could slap you and say, wake up, or dump some cold water on your face, I would do it right now. Okay. There's nothing wrong working with buyers. In fact, I'm working with buyers right now, several clients right now looking to purchase a property. But for the people who are more apt to be listing agents, listen up to this, okay? Because it's a different skill set than working with buyers. If you love working with listings and all of a sudden you pivot your business primarily to buyer business, it's going to be a little bit different, and it's not going to be as easy for you because it's a different skill set, and you won't enjoy it as much, right? So instead, continue to take market share, continue to take more listings. They will sit longer, but you have these tools at your disposal to help you still close deals, okay? And this conversation is phenomenal. I'm going to give you 7 points on how to master presenting a low offer. Now, before going further, I'm going to give credit to my guy, Jeff Glover with Glover U. He came in and presented on a couple different things, different topics. And we had a chance to co-sponsor an event for him because we are we are friends and clients of his company. So as a coaching company. So this was a very good half day seminar, but he talked about this and I thought it was phenomenal because very rarely do I go to a workshop and say, oh, this is new. This is like new content, right? Well, this was some newer content that just really isn't talked about much. So we're going to sum it up here in these 7 steps. Number 1, never say you have an offer until you have it in hand. Never say you have an offer until you have it in hand. Guys, how many times, and you know who you are. I've been guilty of it too. You talk to an agent, have the best conversation ever. Maybe it's somebody you worked with just recently, and so you trust them because that deal went well. And, I'm going to have an offer over to you tonight. Client saw the house 3 times by now. They love it. We're making an offer. Great. Your client calls, or you call your client, and you tell them, getting this offer tonight is going to be great. And then guess what happens? Offer never comes. I mean, is it just me, or does that happen from time to time? It does. And so when that happens, who is the client going to blame? You. And it's sad because you have nothing to do with it. You did nothing wrong except relay information that you were told in confidence would be true. And yet you will be the one they'll blame for it. So if you're setting yourself up for future referrals from this person or a 5-star review, that's not how you do it. So wait till the offer is in hand. Okay. Number 2, always treat the offer presentation as a presentation. Always treat the offer presentation as a presentation. Now, does this mean you have to have a hardbound book or a slide deck?
PowerPoint, yeah.
No. But we are talking about having a system that presents the facts of what's going on eloquently and very easy to understand. So the first way you do this is by setting a time and date. So obviously it should be probably the same day, right? Unless it's really late at night. But you call them up, you email them, whatever, and you say, you have an offer received, and I would like to set a time to discuss this with you. What works for your schedule? It's an appointment. No different than if you set an appointment for a listing presentation or working with a buyer to show a house. You make it a presentation, an appointment with them. It's taken more serious by them, and it just makes you look a lot better because you're taking it serious too. Now, remember, this is a low offer. It's a low offer. You saw it. You're getting ready to present this thing, okay? Now, I think you should have a template of some sort for this too as well. And it could be something as simple as an email template that has bullet points that you just change in and out, like the most important things of the contract, the offer price, the closing date, right? Any concessions, things of this nature, okay? Now, number 3, always revisit their motivation prior to presenting that offer. So you set a time for 5 o'clock on Tuesday. You get on the phone with them, or you're on Zoom, or maybe you meet them at their house. But to be efficient, phone is fine, because you've already sent an email template to them that says the overview of the offer, right? But maybe you leave out in the template, if you said it ahead of time of the phone conversation, I would leave out the price. Okay, I would leave out the price. You can also send a template to them as a recap of your phone conversation, which is probably the better thing to do. Okay, that's what I do, by the way. So always visit their motivation prior to presenting the offer. So again, you talk about your goal was to move X where. Your goal was to move across town, to move to a different city, whatever, by a certain time. And what was the reason why? Oh, you know what? Because my kids are actually, we're having a 3rd baby coming up here in 5 months, whatever, right? And so that's what. Okay, so you're just revisiting the motivation. That way, it gets them in the mode of like, okay, now I know I'm doing this. All right. Number 4, always recap the listing activity. And as you know, Mr. Seller, so you just revisit the motivation. And as you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we've had a ton of showings. Matter of fact, I'm looking at my database right now. We've had 21 showings on your property in the past 3 weeks, but no offers. This is our first one. So this is awesome. But typically, going back to the 10-10-0 rule we talked about in a previous podcast, you should have had another offer prior to this, if we were hitting the sweet spot for where the market determined the value of your house lies. Okay? So you're recapping this activity, make sure they understand that we've had a lot of activity, or maybe we haven't, whatever it is, and now we have this offer. Okay. Either way, the marketplace is telling us something's a little off, and it's probably the pricing. Okay. Number 5, present strengths of the offer first. The price always goes last. Okay. And this is phenomenal verbiage here, guys, because words do matter in sales. Mr. Marcello, their starting price is $500,000, and they're listed at $575,000. The starting price is, well, now why do you say that? You say it because you're letting them know that just relax, calm down. Because how many times their offer came in at $500,000? Oh, that son of a guy! I'm gonna tell them I'm gonna go. Tell them to pound sand. I'm not responding. Whatever. Okay. They go off the handle. Their starting price is, which leads them to believe that you've had a conversation with them already, or they've already told you as an agent that, yeah, they can go higher. Okay. Their starting price is X. Okay. Number 6, lead with their net first and their price second, if it helps. If it helps. Now, if they bought a house in the last year, in most places across the country, probably not going to help much because they might even be upside down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. But use your brain here. If they bought a house in the first half of 2022, especially 2021, 20, 19, 18, et cetera, they probably have a good amount of equity in their property. So even though their offer price is coming in low on this offer, if you're minding that they're getting $200,000 of equity, even though they were looking for, what would have given them probably 250 or something like that, it still is a huge chunk of change because, guys, how many people, if they're getting 200, 150K of equity, which a lot of people have across America today or more, is probably more than what they have in their current retirement or savings account. Probably a lot of people. Yeah. And so that's a ton of money. And so if you tell them their net, hey, so Mr. Seller, here's the details of the offer. They want to close on this date. Okay. They're not asking for any closing cost assistance. It's a clean offer. They're very flexible on this, that, and other thing. They're not asking for a home warranty or whatever the terms are, blah, 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 blah. And this offer will net you $200,000 to get you down to Dallas, Texas. What do you think? What do you mean? So their offer is, what's their offer, Kelly? Okay. Well, it's $500,000, which again will net you, and very flexible, which will net you $200,000. And that again is their starting price of where they chose to come in. Okay. So you're kind of recapping using all these things as one conversation, but separate tools. Number 7. And finally, when you counter, suggest to the seller to reduce the price to the counter price. This is phenomenal. It's a great idea. I love this. Okay. So again, same situation. They're priced at $575. The offer comes in at $550. After conversations, they decide to counter. The offer comes in at $500.
$500. Yeah.
Yep. After many conversations, they decide to counter to $550. Now, when you go back to the agent with the counter and you present that to the agent, then what you do is you talk to the client. Okay, now we countered at $550, right? Yes, we do. Kelly, we want to counter at $550. Okay, great. We'll get that over to the agent. We'll get that drafted for you here in just a few minutes and get it off for signatures. Now, one thing I like to do in this situation is also I would like to go to $550 on your current pricing. We're at $575, and if we're going to counter at $550, I think it makes a lot of sense to get that $550 number on the open market because potentially that opens up many more buyers to see your house that may actually want to make an offer. What are your thoughts? Well, I told you, Kelly, I'm not going to take a penny less than $550. Okay, that's totally fine. I'm good with that. I know what I have to work with, and if we go to $550 on pricing, and that's your bottom line, then we'll make sure that it has to be darn near a full price offer. And that's my job to make sure someone gets up to that no matter where they start with their offer price. And then they go, okay, fine, but I'm not going to a penny less than $550. But that's what you want to do? I'll take your lead on it. Okay, great, Mr. Smith. We'll get that going. Then when you call the other agent to present your counteroffer, you're going to tell them, give them the heads up, that also what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the price down to $550. Now, that could open up the door for them to think, well, if that's the case, then they'll definitely take $520, $515. No, they won't. But what we're going to do is hope that it brings out a few more buyers out of the woodworks because you know how this works too, Mr. Buyer Agent. Okay? And because if we're willing to sell for $550, they're just willing to price it at $550.
And now that's a motivator.
Yeah. And conversation goes there. Now, how many times does that happen where I've done this a couple times in my career, I didn't know it was like a strategy. I just did it. Right. And I've had it happen where the buyer agent all of a sudden, or the buyer gets a little FOMO, a little worried because ultimately they do want to work them out for this house, but they're playing hardball because it's a buyer's market. They have more leverage. And so in that scenario, I've had people go, well, that's dirty pool. I can't believe you do that. Why would you do that? That's not giving us, just accept our counter offer and we're good to go. You don't have to worry about anyone else coming in who sees this new price that we just put on the open market or we're going to by the end of today. So the ball's in your court. We'd love to work a deal with you, but this is our number.
You get first dibs. Yeah.
You get first dibs. Almost the first right of refusal for a few hours, if you will. Okay. And that will really help spur more activity on your listings. And again, it's similar to a couple of podcasts ago. We talked about the reverse offer, getting the client to think or to tell you where their bottom line is. Because guys, sellers tend to lie a little bit here and there. Right? I mean, I'm not the only one on that one, am I? Okay. Because they will say, I'm not going a penny under. And next thing you know.
But they will.
Yeah. Next thing you know, an offer comes in that has all the right terms, but it's a little bit less than what they wanted. And then, fine, I'll take it. Okay. So they just don't want, they don't trust that you necessarily, not because they don't like you. They just don't trust that you maybe will buy what they're selling, and they want to play it close to the vest as much as possible because they feel like you'll just maybe give their money away on their behalf if they told you what truly is their bottom line. So keep that in mind, guys. Those are the 7 steps to becoming a master at presenting low offers. And in this marketplace, you must become that master if you want to get some of your listings sold.
And is there ever a time where you get a low offer and terms are whatever, it's not a good deal? Are there ever times where you advise your seller to not even entertain the offers, or like, I guess, or if a seller were to say, yeah, sure, I'll sell it for 200,000 of, just whatever, because maybe they just have no idea, where you tell them, no, you need to ask for more, like where you're kind of the one that's, I know typically it's sellers that are going to want more for their home, but are there times where you have to kind of push them to be a little bit harder with an offer or anything like that to make sure that they're netting the money that they should get for the house?
Like, don't come down as far on a counteroffer listing?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's rare. That is rare.
Rare.
Yes, I guess there is. Yes, and I
just to be the advisor, the true advisor to the client,
Yeah, because the reality is it's rare, because the reality is if you did your job correctly, not that we're all perfect, but if you did your job correctly and you really felt compelled, the market value was X of this house, and they said okay, then it's probably going to sell in the first 7 to 14 days, and usually when it's on the market that many days, which is very few. People, they know if they come in really low, you're just not going to get much off because it's only been on the market for 3, 4, or 5 days. So
the situation just doesn't arise very much.
Yeah, because the market kind of takes care of it. Because at the end of the day, I always say, I tell everybody, the market is efficient within a margin of error of 10% plus or minus. So,
yeah, that was just because we always hear, of course, like I said, sellers always think their home is worth more than it is, but sometimes as an advisor there might be situations where you have to tell them, no, I think that don't accept any less than this amount, but
that becomes a lot more prevalent, Elizabeth, on like a multiple counteroffer situation where they're just like,
there's room to work, and they're like, whatever, I'll
just take that one offer, it's good. Okay, but we have some leverage here. You sure don't want to maybe go for a little more, that kind of thing, when it's kind of obvious
where you're advising your client that again, because it's not always advising them to bring it down. It's sometimes to make the sale go through, and that they're happy in the end as well.
That's the thing. Being an advisor isn't always the most money in the pocket of the client,
right?
If that's not what they prioritize as number one, right? So you have to find out what it is they really want, because some guy might be willing to pay $5,000 more, but he's financing, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but maybe there's some question marks there, whereas other guys cash. And so, and flexible closing, they can, so there's a convenience play to this too, as well as some other things.
Okay. Amazing. Well, like I said, I think that this last 3 episode run that we've been on is going to be extremely helpful, especially I think it's prevalent right now. As Kelly mentioned, we are in most places, a more balanced, slightly heading toward a little bit more of a buyer's market, where these conversations are coming up a lot more with your sellers than they were a few years ago. And if you have any questions about this or any other topic that you want to hear us talk about here, Kelly, where can they reach you?
Yeah, reach me at Instagram, guys, at Kelly Cook Homes. Shoot me a follow, and let's connect there. That'd be fantastic.
All right. We will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye, Kelly.
See you guys.